Hot water tank making noise. The other day I had the funniest situation. I noticed that I had to go see a gentleman and he wanted a new hot water heater. So I went to see him. We went in and he had a Crawlspace. Now this Crawlspace had about 4 feet, maybe not quite 4 feet in height, and he had it all kind of carpeted. So when I got down to the Crawlspace, he went down with me, and he was an older gentleman. I'm sitting on the edge of the stairs, and there's just a really short set of stairs, kind of steep, kind of like a ladder. And he's gone over a little bit in the basement a little bit, and I'm at the bottom of the stairs. And I said, okay, what do you want to do here? And he said, I want to change the hot water heater because it's making noise and it's driving me and my wife crazy. And I said, making noise, really? Now this was an electric hot water heater. And then he tells me the story about they had a gas tankless hot water heater that wouldn't keep up, so they had the electric one put in. And it was kind of funny because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, and this hot water heater's, I think, 7 years old, but it looks brand new. Clean and tidy, simple electric hot water heater. Very tight space to the top of the floor joist where it fits in. And we're sitting there and I said, so what kind of noise is this hot water heater making?
2 to 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but it's a definite knocking.
And he says, well, I wish it would make that noise now because it never makes a noise when you want it to. But when we're upstairs, I hear this. And then I got to come back down and see if I can hear it again, and it never happens. So I turned on my phone recorder and I had it on the video, only because we're talking and I wanted to remember what he said. And we got talking about skiing and whether or not he was skiing anymore because he's close to the mountains. He said, yeah, he skis a little bit, but at his age he probably shouldn't. And his wife, nope, she doesn't do that anymore. Well, we're talking for a little while, and then all of a sudden there's this noise. And he says, did you hear that? See, that's it. Did you hear that? I kind of laugh, and I'm sitting right beside the hot water heater. And I said, that's from over there.
She packed it in, I'm going to see, there.
That's the water valve over here.
Is that what it is?
That's over here. That's going through. See up top up there? There's pressure switch, and there's gauge right there.
Yeah.
There's a valve in that.
Okay, let me move this down.
They didn't come from your hot water heater. So I got looking around and I had my video going, so I zoomed in on it a little bit, and you wouldn't believe it, but what was happening was it was a pressure valve that's on the inlet water line coming into the property because they're on city water. So I got over and I got a close look at it. Now, I'm not a plumber and we don't deal with plumbing stuff, little minor things once in a while, but we got looking at it and there was a pressure gauge on it, and there was a pressure gauge on it, and there was a pressure valve. What the hell do you call those things? There was a pressure regulator on it, and the gauge was reading 100 pounds pressure. That's a lot of pressure for city water pressure going into a house. Usually the maximum's around 60 pounds. Anyway, this thing, and I tapped the gauge. And I might show you a picture of it or a little video clip if I have it. But I tapped the gauge to see if it was stuck. Oh, maybe it is right. And it just jarred a little bit, but it stayed at 100 pounds. And I laughed and I said, well, that's what's making the noise. It's maybe getting a little old and it's a little squeaky, but anyway, as it turns out, we didn't need to put in a hot water heater. He didn't need to change it. His was doing just fine, supplied lots of hot water. His wife liked to fill up the bathtub, and it supplied lots for that. There's just 2 of them living in the place. So when I left, I got checking into it, and as it turns out, that the city that supplies the water, it was actually Blue Mountain, they've had a big problem with the pressure going into the homes. They had to put a pressure regulator and a gauge on a lot of the properties because they were blowing out their water lines. So anyway, it was funny and it was interesting, but every once in a while I see something that I hadn't seen before, and we saved him some money because he didn't need a hot water heater.